All right, what's up? What's up, YouTube? Let's go. We're going live on Instagram. All right, what's happening, everybody? My name is Michael, and I wanted to come on live, right? So I've been talking a lot about becoming successful and the 13 principles of success in the book Think and Grow Rich. And that's great and all, right? It's important to understand like what the principles are and study them, but at the end of the day, that doesn't tell the whole story, right? When you decide that you are going to become like incredibly successful and you're going to go for a goal or a dream that you never had before, right? You got to realize that there is a whole nother side to the equation. And that is like, right, it's not going to be like rainbows and marshmallows, right? You're going to be hit with opposition, and you're going to have to face like the greatest enemy of all. And that enemy is called fear and doubt. So, right, Napoleon Hill included in the end of the book, right, how to outwit the six ghosts of fear, because this is what's holding you back from becoming wildly successful. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I mastered all my fears, because if I did, then I would be at a way higher level of success than I am today. So that's why this conversation is so important, right? We got to also talk about the flip side of success, right? The junk that's also going to come with it, and these are six basic fears, right? Basically, anything that you're going through can be boiled down to these six basic fears, and so I'll list them off here today. So we got one, the fear of poverty; two, the fear of criticism; number three is the fear of ill health; four is the fear of loss of love of someone; five is the fear of old age; and number six is the fear of death. Right. So understand, like, most people have all six of these basic fears, where you're actually lucky if you only have like five or four of them, right? But at the end of the day, everyone, including myself, it has these challenges of facing fear, and it's really important that we got to tackle this head on if you really do want to get to the next level of success, right? So I need you to realize, right, we're going back to the enemy again, right? The enemy is fear and doubt. And I was describing this, but I was explaining how, back in the chapter on decision, while this is one of the most important chapters in the book, right? Because at the end of the day, right, you got to realize where these fears come from. And Napoleon Hill describes it perfectly. He says that it starts with indecision, right? It starts with indecision. When you don't know, right, what your definite major purpose is, when you don't know exactly what it is that you want, and you consider becoming successful, but it's like, you know what, maybe I'll consider it, but it doesn't have to be right now. Let me push it off till tomorrow, right? You start with that indecision, and all of a sudden you start to procrastinate, and that indecision soon starts to turn into doubt, right? All of a sudden you start having doubts in your head. Oh man, maybe going live and telling the truth won't work, right? Maybe this business model ain't gonna work, right? All these doubts start creeping in, and the more that you procrastinate, right, that doubt will end up crystallizing into fear, right? So that's why it's so important for you to understand how to make clear cut decisions. And then going back to the starting point of all success, right? You got to know exactly what you want in this world, because if you don't like know what you want, then life will hand you what it wants for you. And we can't like let that happen, because it's not that sexy what life wants for you. So I really want to repeat, right? It starts with indecision that turns into doubt, which crystallizes into fear. So that's how all fear starts. And you got to realize, right? He calls it the six ghosts of fear, right? None of these fears are real, but let's face it, right? Anything that you're afraid of, it feels goddamn real, right? He says, but what's that saying from fear, right? Fear is false evidence appearing real. But even though it's fake, even though Napoleon Hill says that fear is nothing more than a state of mind, right? It still feels real and is holding you back. So that's what we got to talk about today. Now, the good news, right? The good news of all this, right, is that you know every human being has the ability to control their own mind, right? You can absolutely tackle your fears and face them head on, but then it's going to require you to start actually thinking. And that's why like this conversation is so important that you start learning like how to think for yourself and so on and so forth, right? So that's the conversation on how to outwit the six ghosts of fear. Now, I want to also talk about something that I noticed, and I'm not sure if you realize this or not, but you know, understand that fear, or like at least when it comes to mass fear, it starts in cycles, right? Let's go back to COVID-19. What fear was COVID-19, right? That was the fear of ill health, right? They made it act like if you got COVID, you were going to absolutely die and your eyes were going to burn out. And then you realize like when you get COVID, oh, this isn't bad at all. So what was worse, right? The fear of COVID or COVID itself, right? It was the fear of COVID. And then let me ask you this, right? How did COVID officially end? Right? It was when what? When the news stopped posting shit about all these numbers of deaths on them and they started posting shit about Russia and Ukraine. Right? So it flipped from the fear of ill health to all of a sudden the fear of death, right? There's a war going on and the news is blasting all this dumb shit about a war going on in another country that doesn't like that's not like going to affect you here. However, all of a sudden they're blasting this fear and making you scared of it. And then finally, right, let's say, things start dying down, right? The news is like, damn, people are, no longer interested in this war on Ukraine and Russia. What's the next fear that we're going to hit them with? Well, boom, let's start saying that a recession is coming, right? So that people start becoming like the fear of poverty starts showing up, right? And all of a sudden they're blasting, yeah, there's the fucking recession coming, and you're gonna end up being poor. And they're what they're doing is they're trying to control you through fear. And I think a lot of people got fed up with the bullshit from the news because it just blasts the same message over and over. But that's how the devil works, right? And you got to understand, right? There's only like five main media companies that control all the news outlets in the world. So there's these elites that are running these news stations that are trying to keep you in a state of fear so that they can control you, because that's what they want. They want to be able to control the people, right? They don't want this to be a capitalist society. They want you to be like little squirrels asking them for nuts so that they can give you a little tiny paycheck so that they can control your mind. And my purpose here is to help you actually think for yourself. Maybe I can show you a way to make money online and actually, be like, man, fuck the elites, and I'm going to be doing this for myself. All right. So that's my rant. I hate the news. I won't watch it. And right, the real enemy in your life is the enemy of fear and doubt. And so understand this, right? The big takeaway is that when you decide that you are going to achieve a goal, that the enemy is going to show up, right? There's no doubt about it. All successful people had to face their fears head on, and it was when they made a committed decision too that all of a sudden these states of mind known as fear started to disappear. So thank you all for watching. That's the live for today, and I will see you all. Peace out, YouTube.